Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Motivational Monday on Justin the Food Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host, and that's B as in boy, I-Z-Z-A-R-R-O, in case anyone out there is looking for me. Today I have with us again Alaina Hamade of Alaina Hamade's Fitness. How are you doing today, Alaina?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing very well, and I think if anyone who doesn't know Alaina, they need to go back and listen to episode 75 from last week, the last Motivational Monday where she was on, and you can sort of get her background. But Alaina basically, in a nutshell, and I hate to reduce her to this, but is a 21-year-old entrepreneur who has been in the entrepreneurial game in fitness and in health and in nutrition for the last 3 years, worked her way through college, ran a business successfully, still continues to grow that business, and is now out there, just graduated from college trying to figure out how to grow her business and become her own entrepreneur. And she's following her own path, which I think is so motivational and inspirational. And she's really taking advantage of the time she has now at her age to really learn and do great things. So, Alaina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for that introduction. That was very flattering. I appreciate it.
I know I'm getting better at introducing people. If anyone's been listening to the podcast, I'm like, it's starting to get better. I'm just like, what do I want someone to say about me if they were the things? And then I'm like, what would that person want me to highlight? But I think actually the real deal is that, any entrepreneur, you're really taking your skill set, and on a regular basis, you're taking the things that you're not good at and working at it every day. And the things that you're good at, they're really becoming better at because you have to in order to be an entrepreneur. That's what attracts people to you and the businesses that you have. And, it's one of the reasons I'm attracted to sports is because there's always working on the things that you're bad at in that sport and always using the things that you're good at to propel that forward, which is why I love CrossFit. There's a lot of things I still, all these years later of doing CrossFit, suck at royally. But, I work at them and try to get better at them while getting better at the things I am good at. So today, Alaina, what is the quote that you have for us?
So the quote that I chose for today was by John C. Maxwell, one of my favorite authors. He said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." And that's the quote that I chose for today.
And I love that a lot, actually, because I think that, as in the last Motivational Monday we talked about, it's a little bit of what can we do today to, and prioritize today to make us successful tomorrow or the day after, and doing that every day. So I really love that quote. So, Alaina, what does that quote mean to you?
This quote means a lot to me. I think looking back over the past few years since starting my health and fitness journey and starting my business, my daily routine has completely changed. And it really means a lot to me because looking back at where I was compared to where I am now, it definitely shows that what you're doing every single day is going to become habit. And we truly are. Our lives are just made up of a bunch of little habits. I mean, from brushing your teeth every single day to whether or not you go to the gym, all of those things are just habits. What you're eating, who you're talking to, your mindset, your attitude, everything is built off of habit. And I really believe habits can change. And mine definitely have. And it just means a lot to me to see that.
And so let's talk about that a little bit. Let's really dive in, and because I'm going to dive into my own habits as well, but let's talk about the habits over the last 3 years that you've developed that have made you successful.
Definitely. So it started when I decided to get healthier. It started with just drinking more water, eating better, and working out for 30 minutes a day. And those were the 3 habits I decided to work on. And then once I felt like I nailed those, I started working in personal development, which was reading or listening to a podcast or doing some sort of bettering myself through some sort of positive content, something uplifting. I mean, we spend so much time scrolling social media. I knew even if I said I was busy with school or busy with all these other things I was doing, I don't have time just wasn't an excuse. I was like, I have 10 minutes that I could not be scrolling social media or watching a Netflix show or doing something like that. So it started adding in that to my daily routine. And then a year later, when I launched my own business in the health and fitness space, it just became little habits of the things you have to do on the back end to run a successful business. So my habits has completely changed.
And one of the books I read when I was in graduate school at the University of North Carolina was exactly that, is how habits, and I can't remember the name of the book, The Power of Habits, I think it was called, and how we do these little things and eventually they amass to this huge habit that we don't even know what we're doing every day that actually leads to success. And this is a great topic for me, actually, because right now I am doing this thing. It's Andy Frisella. He has his own podcast, the MFCEO Project. And I wasn't going to let this out just yet because I'm only 14 days into this thing. But he's launched something called 75 Hard, which is 75 days of basically drinking a gallon of water, exercising twice a day for 45 minutes each, one of which has to be outside no matter what the weather is, reading 10 pages a day of a motivational book or a personal development book, and missing one here, and a self-picture every day to make sure you track your progress. And so, it's been a little rough, but it is creating these habits in me that I sort of have lost. And I find as an entrepreneur, we always need to be reminded, and sometimes those habits need to be refined because we can lose them just as easily as we can gain them. And so I love this topic really, like a lot. And, some of the habits that I have, and have to regain back is I got so busy in my life and so busy with the things in my life and entrepreneur, I sometimes forgot the basic habits that get me there. And just because the habits that got me to where I am doesn't mean that those habits will get me where I'm going. They aren't the necessary ones, but I need to always be tweaking those and figuring out and refining myself to be a better person, a better entrepreneur. And it goes all the way through: better son, better, brother, better, stepfather, better, significant other, whatever that is. It's important that we do those things and we create those habits. And that's even just as saying thank you. I think our parents try to instill habits in us from the day we're born to be better humans. But in business, I think that it is important. One of the habits that I've picked up, over the last many years is I do less handshakes and more hugs. Like, I'm like, why I handshake, that's great. Now I know you, like, I'm giving you a bro hug. Like, this is like, we're friends, we're family, we're business partners, we work together. I'm here. Like, I'm here more than just someone that helps, put, food on your table or whatever. If you're an employee, like, I'm here for you. Like, and I want to see you grow and be a better human being and live to your potential. And so that habit shows that in a very simple way and lets people know that they're loved and cared about, which I think is so important. So, that's some of the things I'm working on. So that being said, Alaina, what are some of the new habits that you're working on?
Some habits that I'm working on now that I've really just nailed down. I mean, the healthy eating, the working out, the personal development, that is now a made habit. I mean, it's just part of my routine. It's not something I think of on a to-do list. It's what I know I do. I get up and I do it every single day. So those are things that I like to always be building myself to be better, like I spoke about on the last episode. So now that those things are kind of nailed down, it's time to move on to greater things. So I think different habits I'm trying to build into who I am as a person. Just simple things like taking a second when I'm overwhelmed. And instead of just letting myself slip into that overwhelm and slip into that stress and that anxiety, taking myself out of the situation, looking at it, counting to 5, counting to 10, whatever it needs to be, and just stopping myself before I reach that overwhelmed or that stressed out place. I think stress is inevitable, but being stressed and living stressed is a choice, and I don't want to live that way. And as my business grows and my life gets busier and things get more demanding, I never want to let myself lose the passion and the love behind what I do and behind life and just the joy of day-to-day life. So that's a habit I'm really trying to work at, is taking myself out of a situation, looking at it, getting a new perspective. I think there's other habits too. It doesn't always have to be related to health or fitness or what you do for your job or your business. I think habits can be forgiveness and forgiving people, whether someone cuts you off in traffic or whether someone wronged you and really hurt you a few years ago and that's something you're still wrestling with. I think forgiveness can be a habit we learn. Having grace for ourselves can be a habit we learn. Seriously, I really believe everything's a habit. It doesn't have to be just, like I said before, my workouts, my nutrition, or like you said, your water and your 75-day challenge you're doing. I think habits are everything, and you really can build habits into your character too. And that's mainly what I'm working on now.
Yeah, and I find one of the things about habits is when you create good habits, the bad habits that are sort of bad just naturally go away. Like, it was never my intention to not, like, I drink caffeine. Well, I should say drank caffeine for like years. I believed it's like how I motivated, how I stayed awake. I fly everywhere. I have businesses everywhere. So I'm drinking gallons of coffee a day and probably 2 Monsters, and caffeine became my life. And now with the water, like, I don't even drink a soda barely a day. Maybe every couple of days I'll have a diet soda or whatever. But I don't even really drink caffeine that much. I have maybe 1 cup of coffee a day. And weirdly, by creating all these good habits, I've gotten rid of a bad habit, which was way too much caffeine. And what I wasn't realizing is that caffeine was leading me to do less pausing before I reacted, because I was tense, because I had so much caffeine in my system. And it's exactly what you said is, you know, one of the things that now has naturally come out of all of that by drinking more water is that I am less nervous, I should say, less anxiety because of the lack of caffeine, where I'm pausing more before I react to something. And the power of pausing is so important, I think. And it's when we do these good habits, we don't realize the bad habits that fall to the wayside. And so I just named one good habit, which is drinking a gallon of water a day, which is a feat on some days. Like, there's days where I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get in, you know, another 16 ounces of water? Like, I don't know. But then there's days that I drink, you know, way more than a gallon of water. You know, it all depends on where I am or how thirsty I am, but water's become my default. Sidetracked, I'm going off topic, but my point being is this one habit has gotten rid of maybe 3 or 4 bad habits that I had that I didn't even realize that I had. I hadn't even really looked at it until recently. And so I think that's pretty cool, and I think that's the whole point of having habits. So
absolutely, I totally agree with you. And I need to kick caffeine habit. Maybe I'll add that to my list. Maybe not.
I don't know. Caffeine's such an amazing thing, but it's one of those things where I still like caffeine, don't get me wrong, but it's just I drink less of it because of it, and I think that's pretty cool. And so, I mean, the other habits that I think, you know, that you talked about is I think there are so many things that we can do. Forgiveness is one, for sure. 2 is understanding people, and many people, you know, in business, this is huge, or with kids, this is big, or with your significant others, is just to listen. The habit of just listening is something we've really lost. I feel like as people and in business, everyone wants to talk, everyone wants to get their opinion out there. So we lack the ability to just listen. And so
absolutely,
I think that's another really good one to talk about. So
yeah, I think just learning to listen and learning to take yourself out of the situation is a really important habit to have, especially in the entrepreneurial space. You work with a lot of people, whether they're mentors or just colleagues, things like that, people that are working for you and with you, and learning that everyone has a different way of handling situations. And instead of getting frustrated or stressed out, taking yourself out, that can really be a big habit and can really change your business for the better.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And so, Alaina, as we wrap up this episode, is there anything that you would like to say to the audience based on forming habits and success that you had as we wrap things up?
Forming habits, I think, back, like you said and mentioned the previous episode I was on about just taking action rather than doing things based off how you feel. Building habits is very similar. So you're not going to change overnight from drinking a soda every single day to drinking only water. So even baby steps of going 1 less soda a day or walking 500 extra feet to the mailbox a day, starting really small with your habits is really monumental in the end because habits build. So just like you've built your bad habits up you can build your good habits up. And then, like you said, they will outweigh the other ones that you have.
And I love that. And thank you again, Alaina, for being on another episode. And I can't wait to record an actual whole episode just based on the Alaina Hamade fitness business. And so lastly, will you tell the audience how they can find you on social media and what your website is?
Absolutely. So my Instagram is alaina.hamade. So it's ALAINA.HAMADE. And my website is alainahamade.com. Spelled the same way, ALAINAHAMADE. And Facebook is something I use less often, but I do use, and it is just Alaina Hamade Fitness.
And thank you again for being on and taking the time to do another Motivational Monday.
Awesome. Of course, anytime. I'm so honored to be asked back again. I hope that whatever I share and whatever you shared on here too can really help someone and motivate them.
Yeah, I hope so too. And that's the goal, is to help people. And everyone in the audience, thank you for listening in. Thank you everyone out there who's sharing it and sharing with others all across the world. We have an audience across the whole globe, which is pretty awesome. And thank you guys for doing that. And you can reach out to me at Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in being on the show, you can email me, justin@thefoodentrepreneurs.com. Everyone have a great Monday and a great week. And thank you for listening in.